Hey there, thanks for joining me for Bible journaling. Today we're going to be working on day 283 in our Encourage a Moment to Breathe devotional. And my thought today is I'm going to do that little scale there that I drew out on my scrap piece of paper. That was my practice piece, and we'll see how that goes. I'm adding a couple coats of my clear gesso on the page because I'm going to paint on it and I don't want to worry about any bleed through. So our verse today is Matthew 7:2. It says, "For you will be judged by the same standard with which you judge others, and you will be measured by the same measure you use." That was my idea behind the scale there, was it's measuring things, and it's kind of a prompt towards my verse there. So I'm going to go ahead and paper clip my page down here to a piece of scratch paper. I don't want, in case I paint off the page, I don't want it to paint anything behind there. And I'm going to go ahead and underline my verse or outline my verse here so I remember not to paint over the top of it, because you know me, I'm going to paint right over the top of it. I'm going to use a bunch of acrylic paints today. I'm going to use this King's Gold. And what other color did I use? Yep, King's Gold, black, white, cranberry, a little dab of forest green, and out of my Illustrated Faith packet, I'm going to use the number 49, which is the Cheyenne blue. So those are my colors today. And I started out by doing the yellow so that I can cover the whole page up, because my scale's going to take up the whole thing and I wanted it to stand out really good. And of course I painted right over my line there, so I'm just drawing it right back on. So let's go ahead while you're watching my little circle here. I decided I needed a circle to start out with because I'm not very good, and then I'm like, oh, that's way too far up, so I'm erasing it. And I'm going to go down here and I'm just going to draw it a little bit lower. And then my eraser wouldn't take it all off, so I'm just going to add a little bit more of my yellow over the top to kind of cover up my little boo-boo there. You can still see it a little bit, but I'm not going to stress over that. All right, so let's go ahead and read our story while I'm doing my painting. Today's title says, "Because You Just Never Know." Every Sunday morning, I made an extra effort to walk up and down the aisles at church. Since I was new on staff, I wanted to shake hands with the adults, smile, and say hi. All the church members received me with cheerful greetings and friendly hugs, all except one. This one lady never reciprocated any warmth toward me. Each week I'd say hello, but she'd only mumble a weak hi in return. And sometimes she'd just give me this blank expression and walk away. I kept thinking, what's wrong with her? She's not friendly at all. In fact, she can be quite rude. What a terrible example of Christ. One Sunday I sat next to a new friend and whispered, "Gee, she's not very friendly, huh?" I nodded in the direction of the grumpy lady. "Oh, that poor woman," my friend replied. "She lost a young daughter a few months back, just before you arrived. It was so tragic." I felt convicted. My conclusion about this person was based solely on what I could see with my eyes and hear with my ears. She was grieving, struggling to breathe. It must have taken every ounce of energy to just get out of bed, get dressed, and show up at church. I asked God to forgive me and to bring her face to mind whenever I met someone I'm tempted to judge after a first impression. You just never know what heartache another person might be going through. After this misguided judgment call, I decided I'd rather be easy on people. I'd rather give grace. Because you just never know. Maybe the woman in desperate need of an added measure of grace is me. A moment to breathe. Think of that hard-to-love person in your life and ask God to help you grow in grace for that person today, because you just never know what another person might be going through. Wow, isn't that true? It made me feel weepy there. I had to take a second just to breathe. But yeah, how many of us have ever sat with someone and been like, man, they're terrible, or seen someone on the street and thought something very naughty? I know I'm definitely guilty of it, and I need to work on that. But thinking of that poor woman in church and the struggle she was going through, it must have been totally hard for her to get out of bed just to even show up at church. And that little bitty hi she gave back was probably all she could muster. That's just that gets me right in the heart today. So you just never know. You have to watch what you're saying, and you never know what that person is going through. So you want to be careful when you're judging people, and remember that you're going to be judged by how you've judged others. And you should treat people the way you would like to be treated. You just never know what someone may be going through. So I'm going to work on that definitely. So I'm going ahead and I'm doing my painting here, and I've decided I'm going to paint a bowl on there and put some apples in there. I don't know if they look like apples when they get done. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking they probably don't. But I'm just painting along and working along here, and the whole time I was painting, it took me about 50 minutes to paint this page, and it gave me a lot of time to reflect. Even though I'd read this story a couple of times beforehand, even when I did the voiceover, it still made me cry. So it's definitely something that's going to be tugging on me today as I go about my day, and just consider that I'm a little bit too judgmental, and I should maybe definitely take some time to reconsider that and think of others instead of worrying about myself 24/7. So here we go with my apples. We're going to try to put some apples on there. I was going to try to make them bigger, but my page is running out, so maybe they're more like cherries. They look pretty horrendous when I get finished, but it's okay because God doesn't care what they look like. It was the time I spent and the meaning I got out of my verse today. Hopefully he's smiling down at me at this moment instead of looking at me like, oh, Heather, that's just the most ridiculous thing ever. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to put a little bit of shadow on my little fruit, whatever we want to call those today. So I added a little bit of black to that cranberry there, and I'm just going to add it into my shadow area. And then every time I use the paint, I dry it a little bit afterwards. Otherwise, it just smears the paint around on the page. And then I'm just going to go over it with my cranberry, not mixed up, so that it'll kind of lighten up that black a little bit and make it look like there's a few shadows in there. Then I'm going to add some green for some stems. And I definitely need to practice on this whole painting thing I needed to get a smaller paintbrush because I did not get my lines very well. But, I'm not stressing over it. I'm just painting and spending time with Jesus, and that's all that mattered to me. So now we're going to go ahead, and my bowl looked really daunting there with nothing on it, so I decided I'd just put some white dots. I probably could have put some cute little flowers or whatever on there, but after 45 minutes of playing around, I decided that was just enough messing with the paint, and I better stop playing around. Then I decided my scale here wasn't looking very stand out, so I'm going to go over with my micron pen, and I'm fixing my little outline there again. I'm going to go around my scale with my outline pen here and just give it a black outline so you can see some of the detail on the outside. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to give it some numbers, and I put the 4 numbers in the corners there right off so that I would kind of space it out right. Otherwise, you know me or yourself, you might just smush them all on there. But we're going to go ahead and add our numbers. And then I was going to do a title that said, "You Just Never Know," but I decided that I would just go with my journaling today, which says, "Lord, help me not judge others. Remind me that I just never know what they are going through. Show me the right path. Help me to show kindness and love to others. Amen." And then I always finish my day off with my title, and then I'm going to put the day that I worked, or the book and the day I'm working on down at the bottom. So I hope you had fun Bible journaling today. If you have a question, leave me a comment down below, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you stay tuned for just a couple more seconds, you can be shown to a couple more videos I think you would enjoy. I hope you're having a fabulous day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.